Hello, Lafayette, and welcome to the LPIE podcast and our next episode where we talk about Lafayette schools, the LPIE Education Foundation, and what your donation supports for our teachers and children. My name is Adam Welcome. I'm the host of this podcast for LPIE and also a father of two children currently at Spring Hill Elementary. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today on the show, we are so excited to welcome Maddie Wilson as our guest. Maddie played lacrosse and soccer at Acalanes High School. She's the former ASB vice president and president and is currently on a gap year and headed to the University of Michigan next school year. Maddie, welcome to the podcast. Tell us about yourself.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. You kind of covered my entire life story, but
No, that is not your whole life story. Come on, Maddie, don't be shy.
Well, if anyone knows me, they know that I live and die by Acalanes, probably too much. I was always just like in the leadership room, and probably the biggest things I did there was being part of leadership. I was on the tech board for 2 years, and then I ran for ASP vice president junior year, and I got it, which is a huge thing for me. I've never been a junior vice president before, so I was really, really excited to be the first. And then senior year, I got to be president, and it was just amazing. I got to see so many things at Acalanes and meet so many people that I hadn't yet connected with. And aside from leadership, I ran 2 clubs. I did Random Acts of Kindness Club, and I was in Girl Up Club. And those two also gave me 2 different sides of Acalanes that I got to meet and see people. And other than that, I kind of dabbled in a few things outside. I volunteered a little bit. I have 2 younger brothers who I love and adore. One of them is at Lafayette Elementary and one of them is at Athenian. So they've both gone through all the Lafayette and surrounding area school system, and they've loved it. And yeah, other than that, that's pretty much it. I'm enjoying this gap year. I am known as the Lafayette tutor right now. I'm tutoring every single kid in Lafayette. I'm trying to make some money, and then I'm going to travel in the spring, and hopefully it all goes to plan. So I'm very excited for that.
Amazing. So I think most people know what a vice president and president does in high school, but question, the tech board, what did that look like? And also the Girl Up Club. I'm interested, having a daughter myself, I'm interested what that entailed.
Yeah, of course. So the tech board, it's a board within leadership. So I took leadership as a class. There was a period in the day. And we made a lot of the communication videos, which are these monthly videos that go out at Acalanes. People look forward to them. They're really fun to watch. And we made like little mini movies. And then we ran the sound at all the rallies, did other little videos. I always make the rally videos, the intro videos. That was like my staple. And I love making videos. So that was so cool for me to be able to be in leadership, but also get to do all this tech stuff that I couldn't really do anywhere else. And then the Girl Up Club, it's amazing. The Girl Up is an organization, and they have a ton of clubs throughout different high schools. And we just raised money. And at the end of the year, you donate all your money to a certain cause that Girl Up supports. So through that club, I got to go to a week-long conference in DC and stay there just with my club members. It was amazing, something I'm never going to forget. And we put on a Mother's Day brunch. We had huge sales at the football games, and it was just a beautiful community of strong women, and something I'm really passionate about. So I was really lucky to be in that club.
I love it. Well, I have a 9-year-old daughter in 4th grade, and I'm going to have her listen to this podcast when it's all done, so my daughter can be more like Maddie Wilson, because, oh my gosh, you have done it, and you are just getting started. You haven't even started college yet.
No, this is my peak.
Yeah, so no, it is not your peak. You are I'm 41, and I haven't even hit my peak yet. So just wait until you're 40, Maddie, all right? Just wait. Okay, so you've done so much at Acalanes, and you said you die and live and die by the blue. What is your favorite Acalanes tradition and why?
Ooh. All right, I think I have 2 answers to this. First, it's super basic, but I got my reasoning. It's just all of homecoming week, because I have, especially senior year, I have never seen more kids in my class come out and participate and meet each other than I do at homecoming. if you don't know, we do these skits / like dances during the homecoming rally, and it's in front of the whole school, and you practice for weeks. It's like way too intense, like so competitive. But like freshman year, we started off with a small crew. If you're in leadership, you're always in, it's more of a dance than a skit. But we started off with a small crew, and then senior year, I'd say we had like 3/4 of our class out there doing some crazy dance, and just at the practices, seeing people who like I've seen once in the hallways was so much fun, and you get to see so many different people. And then this year we also had the canned food drive, and we made it a competition. We got like 25,000 cans or something because everyone at Acalanes is very competitive. But yes, I love homecoming because it brings people together. And then secondly, this is more of a leadership tradition. We have this thing called Wall of Love. And basically at every formal meeting, which is kind of our checkup at the end of the week, we read out Wall of Love. So throughout the week, people can write on like little heart sheet pieces of paper, just notes to someone else. They can address it. They cannot, they make it funny. And we read those out and we keep them. And it's such a small thing, but it has always meant the world to me. You can't really, I know this is just a podcast, so you can't see it, but back there on this wall, I have like every single Wall of Love I've ever got. And for me, that's just my way of looking back and seeing like how I've impacted people and how, and what different friends I've made. And that's just meant the world to me. And I think everyone in leadership loves that tradition because it's become such a special and like meaningful part of our week.
Well, I think if I could summarize accurately, what you talk about and your experiences really breaks down to bringing people together and bringing people out and bringing them in from a bigger circle to a smaller circle. And I think those traits start in leadership. But what you said about during homecoming week and people that you've only ever seen once, and then having the ability to build a relationship with them and to get a connection. And then hopefully maybe you're recruiting to get them more involved in a club or leadership, or maybe, you know, Maddie, we've just met virtually on this podcast, but really to help them find their full potential and maybe something that they didn't know they had in them. So I think leadership lends itself to that. You and your work lends itself to that. And I'm going to say it again, Maddie Wilson, you have not peaked. You are just at the beginning of it
fingers
all.
Crossed. Crossed.
No, fingers are not crossed. Put them out, hands and toes. You're good. So you've been in Lafayette for a long time. You have siblings still in schools. I know you are well aware of LPIE, the Lafayette Partners in Education, and all that they do. Can you talk about your experience with LPIE, or maybe a program that you know has been funded by LPIE?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've definitely had a lot of involvement with LPIE just throughout school, kind of like speaking at different things or making videos or just kind of like hearing what they do. And I think I know pretty well, I think, what they fund. And the biggest thing for me is the Wellness Center. I am the biggest supporter of the Wellness Center. I was there so many times throughout junior and senior year. Remind me, when did they put the Wellness Center in? What year? Do you know?
I don't know, but we do have the Danielle Gallagher on the podcast as well too. So Danielle, do you know when that was put in?
Adam, the Wellness Center was put in about 5 years ago. It has evolved every year and continues to support students and get even better, including this year, once we are able to get back on campus, putting in a beautiful outdoor space in the back kind of rock garden area. So it's definitely a special spot, and LPIE is incredibly proud to fund 100% of the Wellness Center.
Well, Danielle, while we have you here, give us some thoughts as the current vice president of LPIE, just kind of the state of LPIE and maybe some different programs that are rolling out currently that you just wanted to kind of talk about and let our listeners know.
Yes, well, I think first and foremost, I'm blown away listening to Maddie on this podcast. What an incredible student, and so happy she is a past Dawn and will be heading off to Michigan. But I think what's really neat about LPIE and our support at Acalanes is the electives that we are able to support, one of which you've heard today is leadership. And 2+ years ago, in working with Travis Bell, the principal there, he came to LPI and said, we have so many students interested in leadership. What can we do here? Because we were only offering one elective course for leadership. And with LPI being so agile and able to adapt to students' needs, we're able now to support 2 courses with the phenomenal teacher, Catherine Walton. And so I love that we can develop, directly courses what the students need, and adapt and change every year. And that leadership can continue to grow, or there could be another need, whether it's art or music. There's wood shop at Acalanes, auto mechanics, so many different electives, world language. So, but with leadership in particular, I love how many students want to get involved because they are our future, right? And we want to support them in whatever way LPI can.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I mean, we had Natalie Moore on the podcast just recently with a bunch of the students from the Acalanes Blueprint, and talking about when I think about programs and funding and donations, I would say we want our money and our dollars to stretch as far as we can and to touch and to impact as many students. I mean, just for an example, the Acalanes Blueprint has 62 journalists on their paper along with the magazine at Azure, which is absolutely amazing. Maddie, do you know how many students were in leadership across Acalanes in whole, maybe, or just even like a guesstimate?
Yes, this past year, I think we had 90 kids
Oh my
in
gosh.
leadership. It teeters between like 80, 90, sometimes like 75, but it's been amazing because it's no longer like a kind of like a small group that you really got to like apply to get into. Anyone can come because we don't just think like one type of kid is a leadership kid. You don't have to be loud and crazy and spirited. There's a board and a place for everyone. It's been so great to bring like people from every corner of the school because we have the space to do that now.
Yeah. Okay. So here's a hypothetical situation. Yesterday, when I was recording the podcast with the Blueprint, one of the students on there I said, how did you get involved? And she said, well, some of the other people from Blueprint had come to Stanley Middle School and had given a presentation on the paper. And she said, that's what I want to do when I get to Acalanes. So let's say hypothetically, you go to Stanley or one of the 4 elementary schools, or we make a video. You've talked about making a video, and you have to tell those students not really necessarily what leadership is about, because we've already talked about that. But how about this? How about what have you learned through being involved in leadership at Acalanes? What would you say to those prospective students?
Okay, I'm prepared because I did go to Stanley all 4 years to talk about leadership.
Awesome.
But I would say I've just become so much more sure of myself and so much more confident because when you're surrounded by this family that lifts you up and supports you constantly, no matter how many times you fail, you're going to be lifted back up and you're going to learn from your mistakes. So I've just felt kind of like there's no like ceiling, like all these people around me are just pushing me forward and helping me grow. So I've really become much more confident and sure of myself. I've become a better speaker. I've learned how to work with people, and I've really learned how to appreciate the value that everyone has, because sometimes there's this stigma that like certain people in different groups very much have certain personality. Like I feel like leadership, when you hear it, like you kind of think like the dance, the spirit, the plan of the dances, but there's so many different boards and people within leadership that people don't even realize. And people come from all different walks of life. And I've kind of learned to see that every single person offers so much value and there's so much to give to our school. And you just got to find in what's the best way that they're going to be able to use it. So I say that's the number one lesson I've learned from the class and the amazing Miss Walton. They've all taught me so much, and I wish we could have the entire school in leadership. I think it is a amazing program that everyone should be able to go through.
Well, 2 things. This is Maddie Wilson, and if you need a tutor, I may be calling you, not maybe to tutor my kids, just to be a positive influence on my kids. And the second thing is you mentioned teachers, and you mentioned one in particular, Mrs. Walton, who I just recently had a conversation with. She teaches a few courses, one of them leadership, ethnic studies. Talk about Mrs. Walton and just her impact on you.
Oh my gosh, I could go on for days. Mrs. Walton is, I actually, the end of the summer, I nannied her 2-year-old for like
Wyatt.
4 weeks.
We heard about
Yeah,
Wyatt.
Wyatt,
Yes,
from
yeah.
like 9 to 4. So I'm really, really close with her. And the thing that I love most about her is no matter how close you are with her, no matter how many classes you have with her, she will push you and she will call you out if you mess up or anything. And I think like freshman year, I was very involved in leadership, but I was definitely more immature and still learning. And anytime I messed up, she called me out on it and she didn't just let it slip. And it was scary, but it has made me such a better person. And she truly just pushes my thinking. And she works a lot with the 6 people who are on ASB every year, which is where I was vice president and president. And she meets with us like at least for an hour every single week. And then we see her during class. We meet with her after school. And she encourages us to really think outside the box and step up our thinking. So if we have an event, but it's kind of just like catering to the same people that it always caters to, the people who want to participate, she pushes us to figure out how we can involve everyone and how to make this better. And we're always getting better. Like nothing's ever not enough, but she just knows that things can always be improved. And I love that she has pushed me to become the person I am today. And she's also always going to be your number one fan. So I'm really, really thankful for her.
Oh, I hope she's listening. Big shout out to Catherine Walton, teacher at Acalanes High School. So you mentioned, Maddie, that you're on a gap year currently and that you're going to Michigan next school year. I'm going to guess that you went on tours of Michigan, Berkeley, some different universities and colleges, just kind of seeing what you wanted and what was the right fit. If you were to give a prospective student to Acalanes, either a freshman or they're transferring as a junior, whatever it may be, what would you tell them and what would you show them at Acalanes High School?
For college or like just
No, they're coming to Acalanes and
oh,
you're like the liaison. You're the tour guide of Acalanes High School. What would you show them and what would you tell them?
All right. Okay. I think, as I mentioned, like, I just think people are the most important part of Acalanes. So whenever I did tours at Acalanes, I would always make sure some of my favorite teachers were still kind of like hanging around campus. And I think it's so much fun when you bring like a little freshman and their parents. You're just giving them a tour and then you pop into like Mr. Seelan's class or something. And he's just so wacky and fun. And you could see his classroom, but then meeting him just brings it's putting a face to the place. And I think that just like, that's what sells people, is when you meet the people at Acalanes. That's what makes it. We could be working in just like a garbage dump, and the people are truly what makes it such an amazing school. But then I'd also probably take them to the leadership room because I think just everything on the walls and the wall of loves sell our school so well. And then maybe Blueprint in the Wellness Center, just to kind of show that leadership and Blueprint always have this like funny rivalry. We really don't, but so many amazing people go and take Blueprint as a class. And then it's kind of, a lot of people do both, but some people just kind of pick one. So we're always like fighting to get the people we want. And in Blueprint, it's just, you see there's stacks of magazines and you see people like, you could go there at 9 p.m. and there'd probably be someone still working. And I think it shows how no one's asking those kids to do that. No one's forcing them to do anything. They just found something that they love so much that they can devote that much of their time to being there. And just kind of shows that there's a place for everyone, from auto shop to wood shop. At LPIE, I think I can confidently say they touch every single student at Acalanes in some way. And they've given everyone just a home and a place to find themselves at high school.
Acalanes has a place for everyone. I like that. And I would say Lafayette has a place for everyone. And again, to go off what you just said, thank you to LPIE for that constant support. I'm going to say too that Michigan has no idea what is coming for them with you and what is going to happen. But with that being said, I wish that we had you on interview 4 years ago. So if you had to look back on the last 4 years, Maddie, how have you changed in your 4 years at Acalanes?
I think this is a small thing, but I've definitely become more patient. having two younger brothers, I can be very snappy, but I've just learned that everything takes time and growth takes time. And as I said before, I think I've always been kind of like crazy and chatty and way too talkative. But I think that I've become a lot more outgoing and sure of myself and confident with my abilities. And I think Acalanes has helped me make that. And lastly, I think I'm just so grateful for my entire experience. With everything that's going on, the senior year was not as I had hoped it to be, but the community rallied, and from our graduation to the car parade, it was a really good end for me, and I really needed that. I needed there to be an end. So yeah, I've grown in every single way possible, and I'm just everyone at Acalanes will know that I'm always so grateful for everyone who makes that school run, because it's really made me the person I am today.
All right, I have one more question to finalize this podcast. Hypothetical situation. You're in a car and you are leaving Lafayette and you are driving to Lake Tahoe. And most people in Lafayette, we see all of our neighbors up in Lake Tahoe. It's about a 3-hour drive. So let's say you're in a big suburban and it's packed with the superintendent and maybe the mayor, maybe the governor, and maybe even a senator or a congresswoman, or people that make decisions that impact young adults and also just people in the community, and you have their attention for 3 hours. What would you talk about with them?
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, I think I would just sell my pitch to pour more funding into these schools and into these programs. And I would walk them step by step and day by day through what I do in the leadership program and what I learn and why it's so important, because I think that program is raising the leaders of the future, raising change makers. Programs not only like leadership, but like Blueprint and every single program at Acalanes. It is so incredibly important for these kids to have these electives and something other than school. And I would just get them to recognize how important and how beneficial it would be to pour as much money as they can into these programs and into our teachers, because we're already blessed with so many amazing teachers. But I could just imagine how much help it'd be to the teachers with even more funding and more trainings. And yeah, I think schools deserve it all. I think they are unmatched, and they deserve everything.
Well, if you are listening, thank you for listening. And also, please share Maddie's words with somebody that you know, the mayor, the superintendent, the governor, who knows, just anybody that you think needs to listen to such a bright young individual. And I would say the future is bright for our world because of people like Maddie. Maddie, thank you so much. Danielle, thank you for being here. And everyone listening, thank you for your continued support of Lafayette Schools, of LPIE, and we hope that you have an absolutely amazing day. Now for a special message from LPIE Executive Director Beth Goldberg.
Hi, everyone, and thank you for listening to the LPIE podcast series. We hope you are enjoying the conversations and learning about the impact of your donations to LPIE. If you want to hear more, please subscribe. We will continue to roll out conversations with experts in our community so you can hear firsthand how our students are benefiting from your support. Without an education foundation in Lafayette, we would lose incredible programming that expands opportunities for our students. So please visit lpi.org and donate an amount that is meaningful to you. If you have questions or hot topics you'd like us to talk about, contact LPIE at office@lpi.org. Thank you, and stay tuned for the next podcast.